in the Buddhist tradition, or India Buddhist traditions, especially in India, there's two universities. One is the Nalanda University, Buddhist school. One is the Bhutanahili University. There's two universities. And Nalanda universities, they use all the times, most times, the Sanskrit language. And Bhutanahili, I think it's most times they use the Pali or something. And therefore, normally we have kind of two traditions. Why I'm saying that two traditions? Because to express or to give explanation about the Buddha's teachings, two different approach to way. And the Bhutanahili the universities, and when they explain the Buddha's teachings, and then it starts first times they talk about the teacher, and then second is the teaching. Therefore, maybe we can to say today is the Tatars say the Buddha, and then there is really is the we say is the kind of introduction or kind of saying the about the Buddha's teaching. I mean, it's like 500 years, or the a little different calendars. Sometimes says 800 years, or 5 years, 500 years. Common, they say, is the 500 years before the BC, is the Jesus Christ. And then is there was one princess. It's called Siddhartha. At that time, in India, there are many different kingdoms. Small, many like kingdoms. And then there is one in the kingdom we call the Kshatriya kingdom. And these royal families, there was one king has one son, and the mother is come from Nepal. It's near the Himalayas, and her name is Maya. And when she became pregnant, I mean, it's like before she was this baby, she was many nice dream, like usually stories. And then she became pregnant, and then when she needed to make birth, she went to visit to her family, parents. Her parents, I heard, is like Nepalese or something. And then she went to her home place, and then during the journey in the middle, it's like called the Lumbini. And these areas arrive, and then it's like baby's coming. He born, he started born there. I mean, it's like when he was childhood, he's quite extraordinary boy, and he all the time is helping, very much compassionate, and he's all the time talking about the human qualities. And also, that times in India, most majorities religious is Hinduism. And according to Hinduism, we have like kind of very much different castes. Like someone's like humans very superiors, someone's like very much inferiors. Like in India, there's a well-known one family lineage is called the Brahmas. and they are like kind of the lineage of the god, or lineage of the or family of the deities or superiors. And those are more like kind of follow the spiritualities, and they can more practice the spiritual path. But some there's different caste, different families, they cannot practice very much. They say the inferiors, low caste. But when he born, of course his father and family is royal, Brahma, and like kind of India's systems is like superior. But he doesn't like that. He said, what is, we are different. And he all the times talking about human qualities. He's all the times talking about economities. He's all the times talking about necessities of the happiness to everybody's. Like it doesn't matter Brahma or others, it doesn't matter human or animals. Everybody looks like need happiness. And then he slowly grow up more and more direction of this. And also when he born, and a king, he invited, or because maybe it's automatically when king has son, and everybody to come to make big celebrations. And especially one Rishi, a great yogi came, and he looked at this baby and he's crying. And the king says, why you are crying? Maybe my baby is something wrong. And he said, no, it's not. Your baby is extraordinary baby. And if he become like a spiritual guide, surely it's become something like authentic, genuine beings. And he says like, I don't know what are you talking about. The first, my son should to be ruler of my country, and to be successful with me, my royal family. And he says, I'm not sure that, but yours looks like your son is very special, and I'm quite old guy. I cannot to waiting in the future. He's teaching. He said like this, then he left. King was often this have doubt. But anyway, he gave very good education, and also he created the 4 palace and the 4 seasons. And also it's like he made great marriage ceremonies, and to have like a queen. And until he became 32 years, he all the time in the city stayed in the palace, and almost the king doesn't want to send outside to see the ugly things. But like a common to say that one day he like very much go outside to see what's going on outside the kingdom. And he went to holiday, 4 gateway. First gateway he went with his attendants, Chanasi. And then he saw the suffering of the old age. And for him it's very strange to human beings become like this. And he asked to his attendants, what happened to these people? Looks like very ugly, sick. And what happens? And then his attendant to say to him, my lord, this is the old age. And everybody's become like this. And he said, even the royal families, of course, my lord, one day you and me become exactly like this. And he was very kind of concerned with that. And then next time, he during the south or north, one day he went holiday, he saw many sick people. And then it's like, he asked to his attendants, Chana, what happened? Like people something problems. And exactly he replied to the attendant, say, my Lord is sick. But of course there's many different sickness. But anyway, when we before die, at least one day we become sick. And that is the cause of the death. And also he say exactly the same. And royal family one day become sick. Oh yes, Lord, it's like unavoidable. Everybody one day is become sick, then they go into the kind. And then the last he saw the death. And there are some families die, cry, and then he saw that, and he exactly asked to attendants, what is problems? And this is, attendant said, it's a dying, dead person. And then he said, it's like me and you are dying, of course. And also this that ask, royal family is going to die? Oh yes, my Lord. This is like our nature. We born, we are going to die. And then it's like he says, wow. And then he look more and carefully to dead person. And then the family is burned. In India, they are like kind of, one died and they burned. Afterwards, he took this ash. He look again. We born, we become old age. One day we sick, we die, we become the ash. And then he brought this ash back to the palace. And then his king said, my lord, my love, how is your holiday? Did you enjoy it? And this other says, Father, you never told me how's going on outside our palace. So many beings are suffering. And look, we born, we become old age, then sick, we die. One day you become like this, I will become like this. Who can to help? Even when you become like in this situation, can I help? How I can to help? And then the father replies, say, don't think about that. It is the nature. Everybody is like this. Why you concern me like this? You should enjoy it for your palace. And he has 500 service ladies and his wife, and their nice music, tasty food, like same as Georgia. And every day is like drink, eating. You should do like this. Don't concern me. One day we die, one day like this. It's no necessary. And then he said, Father, I cannot to stay like this. I need to do something urgently, quickly, urgently. And like some in the quote in the calendars said he was 32 years old. And then it's like difficult to stay enjoyably or happily in the palace. And he want to go to research, something to find, to make the free from those kind of sufferings. And then it's like he left from palace, and then he like kind of journey, spiritual paths, spiritual way. Of course, when he has many different educations, like a kind of philosophy, different philosophies, maths, science, and different sport, everything's, he has educations. And he went to in the Chuan, there's big river, Nerenzana, and there are so many Hindu practitioners. Someone's wearing white clothes and carrying the stick, longer hair, and big mustache, and they says Namo Shivaya. And then he asked to them, who can to help if I become old age, sick, die? And everybody's reply, maybe you can to pray in the sky, maybe some God or something else can help to you. And he was very much doubt. And he asked to many different, nobody's replies what his questions. And then he's on to journey, to meditate, and during the 6 years. And after the 6 years, and through his meditations, and then he became the enlightenment. And he realized the inner peace, inner realizations, inner achievement through the mind. And after the 6 years, of course, he went through the very strong ascetic practice way, like a hardship. Every day he drink a drop of the water, and 1 or 2 or 3, I think 7 something barleys to eat. During the 6 years, he became very skinny, but finally he realized something. And then there was one village lady, and she says, like, also funny thing, but she says, like, your ascetic way is quite very strong. Maybe you are going to die. Could you please accept me? What am I offering? She offered rice and some milk together. And then he ate that, and then his body is recovered, completely like become not like normal persons. It is all his like realizations, the marks, modules on the bodies. It's like really become natural like this. And then he has some ascetic practitioner friends, and they say this like, oh, now Siddhartha, he gave up his path. Now he is not anymore practice like ascetic ways, like very tough way. And then the Buddha said this like, okay, of course I not give up, but to be enlightenment, it's not true, how do you say, too far or too strongly. Ascetic way is not very good, and middle ways is correct, but they do not understand why they left. But anyway, then is finally he went to in the Buddha Gaya, he sit on the tree, and then all night he's become fully the parinirvana, enlightenment. And generally, when we talk about enlightenment, means it's like, of course, each individual religious or the spiritualities talking about the enlightenment. But it's the sound is enlightenment, but the meaning is the different. For example, if you can to say it's like Hindu systems, if you be enlightenment means it's like something you be near the Shiva, or you become the lever of the Shiva, or to surround become the Shiva. That means it's the enlightenment. For example, our Christianity is also talking about enlightenment. That means finally, if for example, if we are good practitioners to serve to the Father God, and then is we taking care of our soul very well, and then finally our soul is dissolved into the God, ocean of the God. That means it's the enlightenment. And Buddhist ways, enlightenment, it is a bit different. Buddha's approach of the enlightenment. Buddha, what he says, the enlightenment is the insight of our own individual mind. And he said it's like the freedom is, I found it in my mind. And the mind itself can make the freedom from all those different sufferings. And also, and he said it's like, I found something very special, peace, nita, and extraordinary. Where he found it? He found it, he said, in my mind. And that is the true nature of the mind, true nature of the realities. The true nature of the mind is, it is nobody's gift, nobody's installed. That is the essence, nature, reality of our mind. That is, if you realize it, that is the enlightenment.